sort of created this. This is his baby. We gave it to him, and he spent a year trying to figure out what other people were doing and what we needed to do and what other institutions in Lake Forest were doing. And then we set about turning it into this. So he's going to do your program for you tonight.
So like Kay said, my name is Matt, and we spent about a year sort of looking at other libraries at other institutions in Lake Forest. We talked to Croya, the college. We spoke with Ragdale. We spoke with the TV station as well to sort of try and mesh all the programs and capabilities they had and sort of make us an extension of that. So we transformed this room into sort of half editing suite and then still half study space, since that's in high demand in this library. One of the cool things I really like is just these walls are whiteboards, so anybody can draw on them. We've got some math problems and kids just doodling. Makes sort of a nice space for that. The lab itself is open for 30 hours a week, and for those 30 hours a week, we have 2 lab assistants who are fantastic. Doug is right over there, and then Kate could not be with us tonight, but she is our other lab assistant, and they will always be working right here. So I actually had both of them sort of create a presentation for you guys to show the capabilities of what we have in the lab and what you can do. So if you look on the screens, we've got 2 in there if you guys want to filter into there. We've also got the big screen over there on the TV. All right, I'll have
We're standing right next to
yeah.
oh,
Right behind you.
Yeah, go for it.
I'm looking for a book on television.
But I forget.
Do you know the author?
No, I don't, and I don't know the title either. But it's a blue book, and it kind of gives the whole story. You know.
I think we can help.
It's from the smallest one to the scale of an average child. The very, very tallest is the scale of Michael Jordan. Something like that.
So last time I was actually talking about the statues on the front lawn and talking about the sizes of them. So you can see from some of that, what we've done is we've taken old analog media, like slides and photographs. We're able to restore those. We've got a VHS or VCR, so we can restore old VHS tapes, which has been sort of half of what we've done so far is digitizing old media. The other half of what we've done has been creating new media. So we have the software to edit and create images, video, and audio. And what we've tried to do is do a 2-tier system. So essentially you have something that's very easy, very friendly to get into, and then we have the professional version of that as well, so you can sort of ramp up as you want. And both of our lab assistants know how to use those programs. And they're definitely well versed in all the basic stuff, so we do have the option for people to come in and learn how to use those with us. So now what we're going to do is we're going to sort of walk back some of that stuff so you can see the process we use to actually create it. So the first thing we'll do is we'll look at the images. And so you see this first one, and it's sort of tough to see, but there's tons of little burn marks and little fibers on the image itself. And we have a really nice tool that we're able to take care of it, so we can switch over to the after. We're on the after. So it looks like it's cleared off. There's the cleared off one. So it's not quite as dramatic, but it is if you're looking pretty up close to it. And let's go on to the next one. So this one, there's a huge blue tint over it. You can see in the top left there's a burn or some type of tear at the top left. And we can go down and we can see the restoration. And we'll go to one more. And we can see in the bottom left there's some plants in the top right. And we can actually get rid of all of that in our program. And then I'm going to actually have Doug go into the blue image, and he's going to show you just a little bit of how we sort of filtered out really quickly. So there's one tool you can use just to balance out all the color. So let's go ahead and hit that really quick. And you'll see just a quick transition that's all automatic. But you do have the option to sort of go in and do all the color balancing yourself if you want to do that as well to really fine tune it. And then if we zoom into the top left, we'll see sort of that tear. We'll see a bunch of those little burn marks. And we have a fantastic tool that you pretty much just wipe over it and it gets rid of it. You'll see this. And it just filters it right out. It does a great job, even on that, in the middle part where you see the tree, that little line. If you go over that, it'll sort of keep part of the tree as well. It does a really nice job of intuiting how the image should appear and how it does appear and fixing it. So that's a really great program. That's Adobe Photoshop. That's what you'd use for most image editing programs, and that's through Adobe. So we have all the Adobe products as well. So there's tons of great programs there. So the next thing I'll show you is how we edit music and audio. And we do have a 41 key keyboard back there. So you can use that to play your own music if you have any musical inclination. We also do have a microphone if you want to record a podcast or if you want to do sound or vocals for your music as well. So Kate, our other lab assistant, made this great backing music for the presentation. So let's play a snippet of that. Okay. So you see how there's several different bars on that? And these are all on a timeline. So as this moves, we'll see all of these sort of play in succession. Now what you can do is you can actually move those around. Those are all individual elements that can be moved and shifted and change the orders around. Now if we go to those top two tracks that are sort of grayed out, we had Wendy, our other librarian, who's actually talented on piano. We had her play a track for us. So these are the exact same two tracks. She played it on the keyboard in there. And you're actually able to change the instruments around. So we have, I think it's a few hundred instruments. So she just played it on the keyboard as it is right here. But what we did is we created a whole separate track below that, moved it down, offset it just a little bit, and changed the instrument. So we can play this again. It sounds pretty good. And you'll see at the very bottom of that, it actually does the musical notation for you, which is pretty cool. I'm not sure how accurate it is because I don't know how to read music very well, but I think it looks great to me, so I'm pretty happy with that. Yeah, and so that was her just sitting down for like a few seconds and looking it out, and we were able to just move it around. There's plenty more edits we can do, and this is also the basic program. We actually have a program to step up from this as well, which is really nifty. So the last thing we'll show is the video editing. And you'll see this is sort of a more intense version of what I just showed you from GarageBand, which is the audio editing. You see each chunk is actually has different effects. So this is all one line timeline, or one track. But we've actually just segmented it different spots. So if we go to the right, we can see each different effect that we've put in. You can see that this is the track for the video itself. And just below it in green is actually how we just imported that music that Kate made and put it right below. So it does play in real time as long as it plays with that too. And you can see this time bar moves, and as it's moving, it plays whenever it's over. If you move further to the right, we see the transitions that we put in. And they're basically just overlaid over that. They're really easy to do. You can just pop it right in. So if you take maybe a family video, you can sort of overlay the bottom thirds and create titles for that. See on the right-hand side, there's plenty of different options we can do. We can do transfers, we can do bottom thirds, we can add extra music or slides. Each one of these is just an image that we've extended the time for to make it so it plays for longer. And then once you do that, you can actually transfer it out, and you can send it to a file, you can send it to YouTube, you can burn it right to a DVD. It's got plenty of nice features. And then that's sort of the more advanced version that we use for this. And there is actually a more basic version that has sort of the same features, but just a little bit easier to use to start off with. And then one last thing, Doug, if you go to Safari, I'll show our website. So this is the site for the Media Lab. So it's lakeforestlibrary.org/Media Lab. And it shows all of our rules right here, our open hours. We had set up a Skype phone number, so you can give us a call on that computer right there, and either answer it or we'll call you back, which is pretty nice to set up so you have some contact with us. And then if you click on the calendar, we can see what our reservation system looks like. So all of the oranges appointments that we've had, I look back since our opening in mid-July, we've been occupied for about half the time we've been open, which is really nice. And then it's really easy to make a reservation, so if you guys are ever interested, if you click on make a reservation at the bottom, or right on the front page too, We've got a system set up so once it loads, there it goes. So it tells the sort of the things you have to have. You can make one reservation a week. You have to have a Lake Forest library card or a Lake Forest college card. You can choose what you want help with. If you don't need any help whatsoever, there's an option for that. The rest is sort of basic things that the lab assistants are able to sort of teach you right off the bat. You can choose a time when you want to come in, and once you choose that time, it'll be segmented off just for you. And you'll put in your information, you'll put in your library card number, and then it's going to send you an email. We'll send you a confirmation email to let you know if there's anything else you need to bring or more information we can know from you. But that's worked out pretty well so far. I think we just had 4 more reservations made on Sunday, so I'm really happy about that. But that is the space that we have so far. Do you guys have any questions?
What is your typical clientele?
It's about. Are you talking about demographics or
Yeah.
activity?
16 years of age or what?
No. It's actually people that want to preserve their old VHS tapes. I've got a guy who comes in with a brown paper bag. He's coming like a few times every week, and he just has a bunch of slides, and he just sits there and digitizes them, organizes them, and has them preserved for his kids. I've got a mother and a daughter who come in frequently, and they go over old data that they're working out for some type of court case. She's a lawyer, so she does that. One weekend that I missed was a mother and daughter came in with a guitar, played piano, and they recorded a song together. I'm really bummed that I missed that on Saturday, but like I said, it's about half and half. Half is digitization, and the half is creation.
What kind of outreach are you doing to the schools and so forth?
Right now, we've just sort of had a soft open. But I think we're going to go a little bit harder after this. We definitely have this to put out there. We've sort of used we'll start using social media more. Eventually, once I get more products from people, we'll start putting it up on the wall over here. Hopefully, eventually, we'll be able to use this for maybe small classes, things like that. A lot of it right now has just been word of mouth. That's how it's been spread around. So people are curious about it, they ask what it is, they come and use it, they tell their friends, and they come and use it.
We're thinking of sending some email or maybe mail to school and also some churches in town, just to let them know if they plan on something, maybe they can utilize this software and make posters or make invitations and stuff like that.
And there's a number of city staff that are interested. Margaret asked me about that, if we'd encourage them to come, maybe in a small group and that kind of thing. So we'll do some marketing, but we're still waiting for a couple of fine-tuning things, and so once people, now they're back in school, things are underway, we'll start promoting it. And we often work through the librarians at school or the media center people at school, and that's always a good way to reach them. And of course, the senior center, that's another target, so we'll be doing that too.
Are you going to allow commercial uses? If a realtor wanted to make a brochure, or somebody were going to
Sure.
pay to do someone else's photos?
Somebody actually made for the resale shop a sign right up there, and she worked with Doug to make that, and so she's made a few different copies and expanded it. The nice thing is we have a program called Adobe Illustrator, and so that can create things into vector graphics, which means all of the entire drawing is just made by algorithms, so you can expand it as big as you want, and you won't have any pixelation, which is when it gets really sort of choppy and jagged. So that's a really nice tool if you want to make something big, like a banner or something.
What about with the Economic Development Center? Any entrepreneurial activities?
I did have a guy come in who wanted to teach classes online, so he'd be able to record his sessions and then send those out. Because we do have the nice microphone over there, he's able to use it that way. And so hopefully we'll get some more expansion like that. That'd be really nice.
Very nice.
Any other questions?
Okay, maybe you said this before you came in, but sort of what was the genesis of this? How did this conversation first get going?
Well, about 5 years ago, the Gates Foundation gave a multi-million-dollar grant to the Chicago Public Library to create what they call U Media, and it's much larger than this, but it's the same concept. But it was aimed at teens, 14 through 19, and it was also used as a demonstration project. And some of the staff have made trips to see it, and we're not the first library in the area to do this. They're probably about, I don't know.
Highland Park, Barrington, Beulah, they all have great. Skokie has a really great one.
And that's just around us.
Yeah, that's just around us.
Yeah, and so we thought it was something we needed to, to look at. And so that's why we started, Matt, we kind of talked about it with the staff, talked about it with the board liked the idea. So then we sent Matt out to find out what everyone was doing so we could, as he said, so we can mesh it with what the needs of the community are. And we basically found those two things. The adults were going to Lake Forest College, which they can do, to convert their kids' wedding videos to DVD because you couldn't watch them anymore. And the teens and stuff were doing, more creative audio, video. They make their own videos, they upload to YouTube, they make podcasts, they do all that sort of thing. So we tried to get similar software so we would have, and this is only open to 14 and on up. So we want the younger ones downstairs.
Right.
And Skokie discovered when they opened theirs that they had a lot of pressure from grade school kids and so we think that probably will happen too. And in the future, we're looking at something that we can incorporate downstairs. I don't know exactly what or when or where the money's coming from, and the board's heard that for the first time tonight. So, it's coming up, but we're, what's great. On the other hand, we know that the schools here are so well equipped and so ahead of the curve that they have, and I know that the middle school recreated their media space, for something very similar to this. So we don't expect quite the demand, but we'd still like to offer it. And for the time being, and this is the only time we've ever done this, it's for Lake Forest residents only. We've never done that, but we felt strongly that we wanted to make sure that we could meet the needs of our residents first. We're open, for the computers and for many, many other things, programming for anyone who walks in. But we felt strongly that this should be limited for residents. Any other questions? I think we're going to get you back on time. I thank you very much for coming. I know how busy you are and how it's not easy to change that pattern, but we're delighted to have you. And if you want to wander around and see anything else, feel free. The rest of it looks the way it always looked. Just, very traditional, very welcoming, and very beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful building. So, and the board is to be congratulated for keeping it that way for all these years.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you for coming. Thanks, Bob, for he's always thinking about it. We appreciate that.
This is very impressive.
Yeah.
We're not all about books.
Right.
Other things.
No, we're about literacy.
Yes.
Reading literacy. We don't care what you read on, just so you read.
I do like, though, that you have all the posters about books and reading right above the
Right.
screen.
Yeah.
So while people are waiting for it to load, they can subliminally be influenced.
Right. Well, it's, however you want to do it. If you want to listen to books, if you want to read it on the screen, if you want paper, we have all those formats.
What we'll have to do is bring in the video from the council meeting when Mayor Butler asked you about whether libraries were going to become obsolete. You remember that?
I do remember that.
Yeah.
That was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, that's right.
Actually, I talked with him a couple of weeks ago. We had some materials, so it was nice to chat with him for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do. I remember that. Not here. Never. It's just it's too highly educated a community. It's just, but we do have to keep up.
Did you anticipate ebooks in that conversation? I'm trying to think when that would have been that you would have talked to her about.
Well, the ebooks have been around for quite a while. How long? About 5 years or so.
So that would have been a lot before.
Yeah. And the ebooks, we really got involved through the library system. They created, we worked with a vendor, Overdrive, and they created something called My Media Mall. And so it was a cooperative. I don't know how many, about 40 libraries at that time. And then you could also, so we threw money into that, and you can also have your own collection that was called Advantage if you threw more money into it. So we started with the general collection, and we found we were hearing from our patrons, a lot of from the friends, you know, who are very comfortable telling me something, which is good. And they said, we're waiting for 2 or 3 months to get a book. So we took a look at it again, and we threw money into the Advantage program, and that cut it down to about a couple of weeks. And then this year, we added another vendor, 3M, and it's much easier to use. The whole issue of ebooks and how we acquire them is incredibly messy and conflicted. There's this sense that we're the enemy, the libraries are, rather than working with them. And so if you buy something on Amazon for $8 or $9, they charge us about $80 for the same thing. And there's a limit. Sometimes 26 checkouts, sometimes 1 year and it's gone. So we don't really own them. So it's a real, we're spending money on it and people are using it and they're happy. But there's a lot of things they won't even sell us. And sometimes they won't sell them or let you have them until they've been out for 3 months or 6 months. And every publisher has a different plan. So it's been a real struggle, but it's there if you want it. And you know, we certainly have more to offer than giving everyone an Amazon account and a Kindle. So you know, there's more to it than that. But and what we find here is most of our patrons do both. You know, they like the ebooks for certain things, especially for traveling, and then they like to read. But then they also buy books, and they use the bookstore, and they use the library. And
do you see a coming sort of ultimate conflict between the Amazon folks and the publishers?
You know, I don't know what's going to happen with that. Right now, they're in a war with Russia. So you know, I don't know. I have a feeling for publishing survival, they'll figure out a way to keep it going. You have to have someone who's involved with selection and editing, and you know, if you've seen some of the self-published stuff, you know, I think probably the high school kids could write better than some of the things I've seen on self-published. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen. But we watch it, we track it. You know, we're the second tier, you know,
So without getting you in trouble with your board, can we peek under the tent? What's next for the library? What's down the road?
I don't know. I think probably we have to address some of the ADA issues that we have. That's certainly what we're looking at from a financial perspective. The windows have been restored. I really would love to duck the whole thing and redo the HVAC. That's about $500,000. So you know, and it's hard to spend money on something you can't see. But so I think some of those things. Children's is coming along. Some of the adult services, and we'll see what else is out there. But
Have you gotten as good at getting grant money as our city staff have?
No, because almost all of the grant money that we have access to has a needs component, and it's it's for a specific population, below the poverty line, English as a second language, something like that. So there's very, very little that we can even qualify for. There's one state grant that we get every year, called the per capita grant, and that does not have a needs component, and so we apply for that and we get it. But other than that, it's just really hard. And Gates is pulling out of funding libraries, so they're moving in the direction of health and everything. So I guess they feel they've done what they wanted to do. Microsoft and everything. But yeah, so I think. We certainly have tried over the years, but we don't do much anymore because we've not been successful. And I've been told by people on committees that when they see Lake Forest, our Land Code, that they just it just goes. They just don't think we need it. I think the city has a better shot at it.
Well, I'm wondering if there's some backdoor ways that you might work with the city, because it is, you know, there may be some other areas in which it qualifies, like the building is owned by the city, right? So maybe it could be a library, or it could be a train station, or it could be, I mean, maybe the fact that
Right.
it's just library
Yeah.
isn't necessarily the only way you could get at some of that money.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what we found, and you know, this, and I'll try and say this so it comes out appropriately, but one of the problems I think when you look at city services is there's a hierarchy, and that's just the reality. Public safety is first. Streets and sand is next. You gotta be garbage picked up and your streets clean and the salt put down on them. And then depending on the community, it's education and recreation. And then at the end is libraries, the museum function, preservation, historical society. And so it's hard for us to get our nose under the tent. And the library board and the community has been very supportive, and we've managed with the funding we have, which is quite generous, to do pretty much what we need to do. I don't know about the $500,000 for the HVAC, but you know, I'll work with Kathy on that one.
I don't have any money.
See? But that's a good suggestion. We have an archival project we'd like to get involved in. There might be there was some state money for that, but they wanted local materials. Well, ours aren't local, it's gardening club materials, they're not local materials, so it's great for that one. So.
Some of it must be local.
No, it's really not. It's all wonderful old gardening books that the garden club ladies had collected and gave to the library. They're very old, and some of them are very rare. One of them, I think, is only found in 3 other libraries in the world. And we don't know what the copyright is. We haven't even started looking at that. But that's the kind of thing that Friends like to fund, too.
And they did have just another successful.
They had a very successful sale, yes. Many of you worked at it, and they raised their usual over $100,000, which is quite a feat. And it's an amazing undertaking. They're quite an amazing group. They really are. And of course, they paid about 60% of this, I think. You know, equipment. $100,000 they gave us. $25,000 for equipment and $75,000 for construction. So that was a wonderful gift too. And that allows us to do more with what we have. It's great.
Well, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, before we shepherd you all back. Yeah.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you
Come
very
back
much.
anytime. If you have any questions, you know, just give me a call. Happy to. If you want to bring anybody in or you want to talk about anything, just let me know. Always glad to have you.
Doug, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And thanks, Bill, for that.